Welcome back to some more Umineko When They Cry. So, where we last left off, the remaining survivors were mourning the deaths of Kairi, Rudolph, and Hideyoshi. Because those three dead bodies were ended up at the entrance of the mansion. And then the other session of the video was Battler couldn't, well, he tried continuing the game, but Ranulf couldn't because, uh, you know, let's just say there, there were some complications, and Beatrice Battler has to to acknowledge the predecessor, otherwise it won't continue. And you know what? You dialogue foretold. Beatrice will try, or Beato. I don't want to, you know, go into any further explanation. Oh yeah, I should also fix the thing. I hate when it always does that. Whenever I load the game and then the audio just screws up from there. All right, let's continue. The seven survivors returned to the guest house once again. By now, it was clear that those who went outside would not return alive. Rudolph's group had gone out with two guns and a master key, but those had been lost. It was already clear that those had been stolen by the culprit. Because the shutters were closed on the windows, they couldn't be opened even if the culprit had a master key. The front and back doors that led to the outside were all sealed by chains, and they were further blocked with sofas and tables. Oh yeah, by the way, I basically went on a personal Discord. Well, I could just use my dud server and upload my soundboard clips from there, but the thing with like Discord is that the soundboard limits up to like 5 seconds for a sound clip, so I have to like basically edit the to make it limit to the minimum of the time duration. So yeah, there's that. The front and back doors that led to the outside were all sealed by chains, and they were further blocked with sofas and tables. Even if the culprit decided to break in through violent means, it wouldn't be easy for them.
台風が今となってはむしろ幸いかもしれんな。
Barricading the place. It's like y'all were prepping a zombie apocalypse or something. It's like
もしも晴れていたなら、ゲストハウスに放火するという手もあり得たかもしれん。
I don't think I used my own dud server. I think I'm using the my friend's server at the moment, but because it has like 5 sound clips that I like to use. So, and plus, in order to have more sound clips, they have to boost the Discord server. So, I mean, I could just grab my folder of sound clips. Too much effort for someone with autism. By the way, mind you.
そもそも台風でなかったなら午前中に船が来てたわ。
Yeah, the boat would have been arrived by now. There was no freaking disaster.
それを不幸中の幸いと言えるかは微妙ね。エヴァさん、体の具合はいかがですか？無理をされないようにしてください。
Yeah, you need to get some rest.
ありがとう。熱はまだ感じるけど、そんなことを言ってる場合じゃないわ。子供のためにも、今は寝込んでる場合じゃない。
After crying so much in front of Hideyoshi's corpse, Eva had felt a strong self-awareness of her position as a mother, and her expression conveyed a strong will. In actual fact, her fever still hadn't gone down, and she was aware of that. If she didn't keep a strong hold on herself, she felt as though the fever would make her mind hazy again. By this point, the first floor formed a final line of defense set up by Kraus, Natsuki, and Eva. The children and the guest, Nanjo, had been strongly warned not to go downstairs without taking great care. If the culprit used a ladder or something, it probably wouldn't be impossible for them to attack from the second floor, but it wouldn't be easy for them to break those sturdy shutters from such an insecure position. The second floor was relatively safe compared to the first. Badler and George had also wanted to remain on the first floor so that they could fight if the worst happened, but Eva had put a stop to that. In her mind, George was now the only member of their family. It seemed that she didn't even want to expose him to the danger of coming downstairs to the first floor. Kraus and Natsuki could understand that feeling. Reminds me, I have to there we go. Also, a great deal of time had passed since the siege began. In the second floor cousin's room, Badler, George, and Jessica sat dazed and didn't even listen to the TV that had been left on. If you're not gonna watch some freaking TV, you might as well turn it off. And you just wait. I mean, I guess I guess y'all don't care about the electricity bill now that you're in the bit of a situation there. For a while, Nanjo had been with them and had tried to lend them words of encouragement, but when he realized that he might actually be having the opposite effect, he hid himself in his own room on the same second floor. George kept looking dazedly at the photographs inserted in his notebook. It was from the time he'd taken a vacation to Okinawa with Shannon. Shannon's happy smile was contained in those photos. Yes, we are listening to a little bit of a flashback there. George could remember the temperature and the humidity, the warmth and the strength of the wind, and even what he had been talking about with her at the time those photos had been taken, as clearly as though it had been yesterday. So to George, they weren't simply photos, but a door to bring back warm memories. In this room, even though the sound of the typhoon and the TV should have entered George's hearing, it was the scenery of Okinawa he had seen with her, and her laughing voice that reached his eyes and his ears. George had strived to be reborn after meeting Shannon. He had sworn to separate himself from the timid person he had once been, easily caught up in the atmosphere, unable to refuse a request, and easily used by those around him. He had resolved himself to become a strong man who could make her life more joyous. Therefore, if he hadn't met Shannon, the man called Ushiromiya George would probably have lived a very different life. And the George of that different life surely wouldn't have been as excellent a man as he is now. Oh, yes, I do remember that from the last episode. The person I am now exists, for Shannon's sake. Now that Shannon is gone, why do I exist? It's completely meaningless, isn't it? He felt a deep, deep sadness as though he himself had become empty. That feeling must have been tormenting him this whole time. However, until Badler mentioned it, he hadn't been aware of the feeling himself. He'd finally managed to remember that it should have been alright for him to cry much, much more. So he cried, just like Badler had. He cried himself dry. By now, his eyes were bright red and swollen, and he couldn't cry anymore. So George did his best to change his way of thinking. He was not meaningless now, and he should be grateful to Shannon for giving him such a character. The dead won't come. The dead don't come back to life. He would have to get over being separated from his most beloved person. If he were to chase after Shannon and kill himself, she would surely be deeply dejected. It worked the other way around too. If he had died and Shannon had chased after him, throwing away her own life, he wouldn't have been able to forgive himself. So he chose to surpass his sadness and anger, and decided to thank her instead. After meeting Shannon, she made his days rich and full, and taught him the meaning of working hard for other people's sakes. As a result, she had shaped him into the kind of person he had wanted to be. He wanted to thank her for that. He tried to quell his sadness in this way, but each time he did, he remembered Shannon's smile. He understood his logic. He knew that grieving anymore would only make her grieve in heaven, but that didn't bring a stop to his sadness. Yes. From a flashback to a flashback with colors. Look at that. Reminiscing the good times.
なんで人が死ぬってのはよ、こんなに悲しいんだろうな。
I swear to God, if he did just say, okay, there's this ongoing meme going on when it comes to Fate Stay Night. Why is I swear if he just said why is it that when people die when they are killed, I would have lose my shit. Okay, Battler muttered. It was as though he was speaking on behalf of all humans. His question probably hadn't been directed at anyone, but Jessica answered.
別れはどんな形でもいつも悲しいさ。でもそれが例えば老いであるとか何かの時間であるとかあらかじめ約束されていていつか訪れる別れであると分かっているものはその悲しみを長い時間をかけてあらかじめ薄めておくことができる。それを許されないから突然の不幸は悲しいんだろうよ。
なるほどな。そりゃ病気にでもかかって何年も昏睡状態になってりゃ少しずつ心の整理もついてくだろうけど、ある日突然じゃその暇もねえもんな。
本来なら数年をかけて薄めるべき悲しみが一度に押し寄せる。そりゃ辛いわけさ。時には人の生涯に傷を残すほど深い悲しみを与えることもあるかもしれない。
生涯に傷を残すほどか。
じいさまのオカルト趣味もさ、そうささやかれてたんだよな。例のベアトリーチェって愛人を大昔に亡くして、それが悲しくて悲しくて立ち直れなくて、それで死者を蘇らせるためのオカルトの研究に残りの人生を全て捧げるようになったのではないかって、そうささやかれてた。
That this is why he started sacrificing the rest of his life to occult research in order to revive the dead.
だとしたらじいさまは最後の土壇場でその奇跡を成し遂げたな。犯人は蘇ったベアトリーチェでじいさまは殺される瞬間に再会できたってことになるぜ。自分で蘇らせてそれに殺されるとは皮肉な話さ。
Well, he got what he wanted, so at least that's something to not regret over, right?
それでもおじいさまは会えたんだろうね。 人生の半分を賭して、もう一度会いたいと願った女性に、わずかなひとときとはいえ、再会できたんだろうね。
丸焼きにされちまったけどな。
Yeah, literally.
人生の半分をかけた研究にしては、ちょいと割の合わない成果だろうぜ。
そんなことはないよ。たとえほんのひとときであったとしても、愛した女性に再会できたおじいさまは幸せだったはずさ。仮に生命の摂理に逆らった罪を神に咎められて、その身を焼かれ地獄に落とされたとしても、その見返りの再会がほんのわずかな時間だったとしてもね。
上司兄さん、
神の怒りに触れてこの身を焼かれようとも構わない。わずかな時間でもいいからシャノンを再び蘇らせてくれるなら、僕は残りの人生すべてをおじいさまと同じ研究に捧げるよ。5分でいいからシャノンともう一度言葉を交わしたい。1分でもいいから、それと引き換えに全ての人生を捧げても僕は構わない。
兄貴。
When Badler and Jessica realized that their pointless discussion was causing George pain, they could do nothing more than shut their mouths. George directed his thoughts to Kinzo's life. He sacrificed half his life to research that no one understood, and on the last day of his life, he revived the person he loved most, and probably succeeded in his reunion in his final moments. George didn't know how much time they'd had together. He didn't know if they'd been given an hour or just 5 minutes. However, that moment must have been enough to reward him for all those months of research. Even though he spent dozens of years to achieve it, that small amount of time was probably more than worth it to him. Until today, I never believed in the occult or magic or anything. Somewhere in my heart, I even made fun of grandfather's research, thinking of it as nothing more than a pastime. Okay, then make fun of grandfather's research? If you're making fun of what he does, then do you ever make fun of other people's hobbies? That's what I want to know. However, I won't make fun of it anymore. No, to the contrary, I'll believe strongly that it's real. If the power of belief can create miracles, I'll probably throw away all of my studies up until today, spending the rest of my life from today onwards studying magic. Give me the power of magic, and give me a miracle that'll let me see Shannon again. That's so funny.
ごめんよみんな。僕もどうかしてる。魔法で死者が蘇るくらいだったら、世界中の人々が魔法を学ぶだろうね。でも現実にはそんなことはない。誰も学ばない。死者が魔法では蘇らないって知っているから。
Well, here's the thing though. If more people start learning the ability of reviving people with magic, that it is most likely they'll revive their loved ones, especially when they have passed away with very unfortunate diseases. Unfortunately, we don't even have the magic to cure cancer, but they have to treat it. So
ごめんよ、妙なことを言い出して。僕のせいでおかしな空気になっちゃったね。
There's a strange and gloomy atmosphere.
みんなだって辛いだろうに。気を使わせてごめん。
Even if I did it to divert myself from my sadness, maybe I did say something strange. If I keep talking about stuff that's so weird, I'm sure it won't do anything good for their sadness. But that doesn't mean I can bear this silence.
僕は下に行って、もう一杯コーヒーをもらってくる。
Just gonna get some coffee.
うちの母さん、コーヒーの入れ方にはこだわりがあるんだよ。みんなもおかわりはいるかい？
I could go for some coffee already. I mean, I'm halfway to my mug at the moment. Badler-kun and Jessica-chan lightly shook their heads. Without pressing them any further, I took my mug and left the room. Uh-oh. You're going all by yourself. The shutters were all closed in the hallway, so the corridor was very dim. I tried visiting Dr. Nanjo's room and asking if he wanted more coffee, but he said he didn't need any either. It seems my mother's orthodox method of making coffee isn't universally appreciated. One time I made some for Shannon, but she told me that while it was delicious, it was a little strong.
シャノン。
That's no good. Even though I left the room to change my mood, that image of Shannon's face filling my head hasn't faded in the slightest. I keep seeing those fun days with her more and more vividly, and it's saddening that I never even got the chance to see her dead face. According to our parents, she was apparently killed with something like a gun or a spear. I'm sure they were just trying to console me, but they had said her dead face had been very beautiful and peaceful. I wonder if she had the engagement ring I gave her last night on her finger. If she accepted my engagement, she would have had it on the ring finger of her left hand. Last night, we were both on the edge of losing it and not calm at all. Shannon accepted my engagement pretty courageously, but she might have regretted that as a rash action once she cooled her head. She might have taken the ring off. I wonder if she has the ring on now. I want to be sure of at least that much. I want to know how she felt at the very end. But even if I do confirm that, it doesn't mean she'll come back. I wonder what will happen to her body. After the autopsy, it will probably be immediately cremated. Then, I'll never be able to see her face, even her dead face, for all eternity. No words.
僕はシャノンを失ったショックで少しおかしくなってるのかな。
Maybe. I don't want her body to be burned. If she's burned and returned to ash, never again will it be possible for her to revive. They say cremation is frowned upon in Western tradition, because on the day of resurrection, there would be no body to revive. Because of that, it seems that great criminals in Western history were often cremated after execution as a punishment, and their ashes were sometimes scattered in rivers and such. In other words, to Western people, death is nothing more than a sleep until the resurrection. It is essential that the corpse is left after death.
つまりそれは西洋人は死者が蘇る奇跡の存在を知っていたからなんだ。でも日本にはその奇跡がなかったから焼いてしまうんだ。
Now I understand. I understand why grandfather idolized the Western occult. That was his only reason from the very beginning, just to revive the person dear to him. Grandfather spent the rest of his remaining life researching the Western occult. The situation surrounding us now is abnormal. Grandfather did revive his beloved Beatrice, and that Beatrice has carried out a terrible serial murder with linked closed rooms that force us to conclude that magic was used. The Golden Witch, Beatrice, the incarnation of the miracle of the Western occult, and also the culprit who killed Shannon. She's an entity I should hate, and yet for some reason I want to cling to her. I wonder if Shannon could be revived with the magic of miracles. which grandfather bet his life on. According to the legend of the Ushiromiya family, grandfather met with her long ago and was given a vast quantity of gold. Then, if I also met with her, instead of gold, would she give me Shannon's life? As collateral, I don't care what sort of devil's contract she imposed. I wouldn't mind sacrificing all of my remaining life. George probably couldn't believe or realize that his voiceless wish was heard by the witch herself, who stood right behind him. Oh shoot. Beatrice is observing. Beatrice had been listening to the entire discussion between the children just now in the cousin's room. Badler had told her that she didn't know the value of a human's life, and wanting to understand that in her own way, she had stealthily visited, listening in on their discussion. No words.
それが願いだというのか。
Indeed her wish.
それを叶えれば、わらわは魔女だと認められるのか。
Probably. Beato looked at the palms of both of her hands. She had handed over most of her once surging magical power when the new witch succeeded the name of the Endless Witch. Of course, her current power still made her worthy of being called a witch, but it could not begin to compare to her previous strength.
無限の魔法などなくとも、わらわは千年に名を轟かす大魔女であるぞ。
But can you go up against your disciple? That's the question.
死者を蘇らすなど、造作もないことよ。
Inside her head, she thought about several magical steps you could take to revive the dead. Even magic that should have been easy in the past would be difficult with her current power. She thought of something, then clicked her tongue, then did so again, over and over. In the end, she finally thought of a single spell. But that was a spell that she couldn't use by herself. It was a spell that witches with weak power used, one that relied on the aid of others. In the past, Beato had looked down upon that type of magic. Therefore, she frantically tried to search for any conceivable alternative. But in the end, she couldn't think of one and slumped over in self-derision. Then, careful not to surprise him, she softly called out, softly to George's heart.
後宮ジョージ、わらわの声が聞こえるか。
聞こえるとも。あなたは誰だい？本当に魔女のベアトリーチェ？それとも僕の悲しみが生んだ幻想なのか？もしも前者だったなら僕の願いを聞いてほしい。そして後者なら僕をそっとしておいてほしい。
Well, at least he's being honest. Their conversation in the mental world was a lot like having one in a dream. When you dream, haven't you ever had the experience of casually accepting something that would have been absurd in the real world? The conversation in this world was like that. So even though a witch appeared and started talking to George, he was not surprised.
わらわが黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェである。本来わらわとそなたこうして会話を交わすことなどできぬ。しかしそなたがわらわのことを強く意識し会話を望むからこうして互いのチャンネルを合わせることができる。
シャノンを殺したのがあなたなのか？あなたを名乗る何者かの仕業なのか？僕はどうでもいい。
I can say it's the other ladder.
ただあなたが本当の魔女として存在しているならば、
Although it's weird, because I'm pretty sure the first 6 killed in the first Twilight was Beatrice, and then the other murders, so on and so forth, was Eva Beatrice. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it was something that was considered teamwork or whatnot, but I don't know. Could be both. Maybe. That's my dumb theory I could make up.
どんな対価にも応じる。僕の命を望むなら今すぐに捧げてもいい。どうかシャノンを生き返らせてほしい。それが無理ならせめてわずかの間話をさせてくれるだけでもいい。お願いだ。
対価はいらぬ。
Nothing in return. Oh, I see.
その願い
It's that
叶え
so.
て使わそう。
Well, that was easy.
本当にシャノンを。
She can?
うん。だが反言の魔法を扱うには今のわらわには魔力が足りぬ。だからそなたの手を借りねばならぬ。
僕にできることならどんなことでも。それが僕の心臓を今すぐこの場で取り出すことであったとしても僕は躊躇しない。
そんなものいらぬというの。わらわは魔法を唱え、さすれば冥府の扉に隙間ができる。
The door to the land of the dead.
だが今のわらわにはその隙間よりシャノンの魂を連れ出せるほどの力はない。
Interesting normal facial expression right there.
しかしシャノンのことを強く思うそなたならその思いを魔力に変えて彼女の魂を必ずや連れ戻せるだろう。どうだ、わらわを手伝うか。
手伝うとも。シャノンの命が蘇るなら僕は何を失うことも恐れない。
George's fists shook in silence. Then he slowly came to his senses. He had been absent-mindedly standing near the window in the hall that whole time, his mug still in his hand. And the witch from his dream was still there.
そんな夢じゃない。
I was like, what? Oh, you mean to tell me I wasn't dreaming the whole time?
静かにせよ。今のわらわはとても脆い。この上さらに他の人間まで現れたら姿を保ちきれぬ。そなたの願いは叶えるから今は沈黙せよ。よいか。
George covered his mouth with both hands, nodding enthusiastically several times. In that instant, he almost dropped the mug he was holding. George frantically juggled it around and caught it. He was afraid that if it fell to the floor and made a loud sound, the witch's form might disappear like a bubble popping. He softly set the mug on the floor and stared at the witch in front of him again. Her form didn't disappear. It wasn't a dream.
さあ、シャノンが眠る客室へ行くぞ。
Oh shit. We're going to the parlor?
そなたの思いの力にて彼女の魂を連れ戻すのだ。
With the power of emotions.
行くってどうやって。下には母さんたちがいる。
How am I supposed to how am I supposed to get out of the guest house then? If you're telling me to go to the mansion, are you gonna how am I supposed to get out?
表へ出るのを許してくれるわけがない。それにあなたはさっき、他の人間が現れたら姿を保てないと言わなかったかい？
そういえばそうだった
Unless you want to like carefully escape out of the second floor.
下にはクラウスたちがおったか。それでは確かに下へ降りられぬな。ならば1階へ降りずに屋敷へ行けばいいではないか。簡単な話よ。
Just how simple are we talking about though? That's the thing. Beato laughed as though she had thought of a pleasant prank. Oh no. And with her golden pipe, she lightly tapped the window with its shutter closed. When she did, 3 gold butterflies appeared from the pipe and opened the lock on the window as though melting it. Well, ain't that some shit? Then the window opened without a sound. The shutter beyond it was exactly the same. The clasp unset itself, also without making a sound, and it quietly opened. Oh. I can't believe we're escaping the guest house by the second floor. Oh boy. The window opened, exposing the wind and rain outside the mansion. Perhaps because of the direction or something related to the construction of the building. The wind did not blow inside. Because of that for a while, George felt as though this entrance that opened to the outside was a dream or an illusion, and he couldn't accept it as real.
さあ行くぞ。ついてまいる。
Beato gently floated upwards. It was a natural action, like that of a diver enjoying an underwater stroll. It made it easy to believe that if you acted like she did, you too might be able to float in the sky just though you were swimming through the water. No, George did believe that, so without thinking, just as she had done, he also gently, as though swimming in the water, lifted his feet. Oh my god, I can't believe we're flying.
ほう。やるではないか。
This isn't the first time we have to try swimming in the air.
わらわが説明するよりも早く空を舞うことを覚えたか。
It is a natural talent. George was shocked to find himself floating in midair like he was swimming. Of course, Beato was also shocked that George, who shouldn't have been able to use magic, had figured out how to do that just by instinct.
空が飛べるなんて、泳げるなんて。
理屈を考えてはならぬ。それが自然なことであると受け入れよ。
I guess.
ニュートンとかアインシュタインとか人間たちの競技を思い出してはならぬぞ。特に高き空を飛んでいる時はな。墜落する未熟な魔女も時におる。
I wonder how that goes.
あるがままを受け入れる。あるがままを受け入れる。
George repeated those words over and over. He must not deny magic no matter what. Denying that would be like throwing away what might be his first and last chance to revive Shannon. However, compared to Beato, who was elegantly drifting like smoke, George's movements clearly resembled someone underwater. Therefore, if he didn't act like he was kicking his feet in water every once in a while, he'd be caught by the force of gravity bit by bit,
わらわが初めて空を舞った時よりは上出来であると褒めておこう。行くぞ。ついてまいれ。
When Beato beckoned to George, she gently flew into the stormy sky. Oh shit, I hope you don't get struck by lightning. Oh man, just imagine you trying to learn to fly in the sky. And it's stormy out too. It was just like a scene from a fairy tale. The scene unfolding before George's eyes felt entirely like an extension of his dream.
空を飛べるのはすごいけど、すごい風と雨だ。
I believe I can fly.
なんだ、雨と風に苛まれるのか。
Being able to fly, but so is the wind and the rain. Oh, and the rain. Oh, and because I went back to double check on the dialogue, now the rain stopped the noises. God dang it. Well, I ruined the recording. Shit.
それを防ぐ魔法を教えてもよいが、今のそなたには早いし、今はそれを習う時間を割くのも惜しかろう。
Well, we got a mission to do.
ええ。
See, he gets what I mean.
僕が必要としている魔法はそれじゃない。
George wore a strong-willed gaze, refusing to let the wind and rain get to him.
見えてきたぞ、屋敷だ。もう少し頑張れよ。今落ちればバラの茂みだぞ。
It would be funny though. The undulating rose garden was spread beneath the witch and George's gazes. This illusion-like scene no longer surprised George. Only the gradually approaching mansion was reflected in his eyes.
シャノン、待ってて。必ず君を蘇らせてみせる。
I wonder how that'll turn out. Will George live or will George die? Just from trying to sacrifice his life to reach Shannon. And the mansion is dangerous too. Like, I wonder how that'll go. Oh, great. At that time, the cruel new witch could be seen staring at the guest house from a different location.
あと残すは第7第8の番だけね。あと2人で先代のババアの義理はおしまいだわ。
To that old hag predecessor, you make it sound like you're shit talking. Beato.
クラウスと夏日を殺す。
Killing off Kraus and Nazi.
夫婦仲良くね。にひ。
Oh boy. The Siester Bunny Girls.
標的はどうかに？ゲストハウス1階ロビーにて標的2名と後ろ宮エヴァを捕捉。反魔法力測定。410データリンク。410データ受領。反魔法力は極めて小。
They're talking like they talk so robotic. It's like, I mean, then again, they're highly advanced servants, so or furniture perhaps.
エヴァさえ席を外せばまな板の上のマグロにアワビです。
They're tuna and abalone on the chopping board. Don't say that.
いかがしますか、大ベアトリーチェ卿。ご命令をいただければすぐにも狙撃いたします。どうかご命令を。ほんとにあんたたちは便利な家具ね。 死体をほじるしか能のない中古家具どもとは大違いだわ。ねえ。
Wow.
シエスタ姉妹、またあなたたちの手際を見せてちょうだい。
Oh, there you go with that crooked face of yours.
攻撃準備よ。
Prepared to fire.
死体はまた運び出してね。たっぷり遊んであげるんだから。
Well, ain't that fun?
文句はなしよ、ロノウェイ。
はい。
See, even Ronaldo's like, man, can I please retire this job?
かしこまりました。
Yeah, like you can see the look on his face that he feels uncomfortable. Just he's uncomfortable working with her. Wait, what? What's going on? At that moment, the witch noticed something. It was as though some presence had disappeared. Was it her imagination? Nah, it's gotta be your imagination. It's just the wind blowing through your ears.
今、何か気配を感じなかった？誰か感じた人いる？申し訳ありません。私は何も気づきませんでした。お許しを。
That's funny. It's funny how the highly advanced furniture can't even sense a presence.
私たちゲストハウスを観測中でしたから周辺監視はオフにしてます。にひ。ルシファーちゃんは何か気配感じた？
Yeah, let's see.
こんばんは。こんにちは。Hello.
You are alive.
Oh.
Are you liking the reading?
Okay.
This is an interesting reading right here. Surely they never hear the presence.
Umineko.
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer. Did you invent Lucifer?
Maybe.
Or a very fate move?
This is a very interesting one because we have so basically there are the 7 sisters of the purgatory and they're based off the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, that's kind of
In a
cool.
way. So
Yeah.
for just an instant, Lucifer glanced at Ronald, asking whether she should answer honestly or not. Yeah, let's see if Lucifer can sense the presence of something else. Surely there's no other characters just sneaking past them going to the mansion.
Lucifer would be Pride?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ronald gave a small nod in response.
いいえ。
Wow, even the head butler doesn't notice.
申し訳ございません。ベアトリーチェ様。
Wait a minute. Wait, what? Wait, you gave a nod, but you're pretending like you didn't notice.
私たちは何も。
What? What the fuck? You could have just spilled the beans. Just imagine.
中古家具ゆえ、愚鈍なことをお許しください。
Forgive us for our stupidity of us. Like, yeah, we didn't notice anything. We're just being retarded as usual. My bad.
Shit, if only that was my league teammates and feeling they were that culpable.
and Eva is like, I don't know. You make it sound like you're lying. Ronald has no words.
そう。大悪魔のあなたがそう言うなら、きっと私の気のせいなんでしょうね。
Yes, rely on the great strong demon. The witch persistently stared in the direction the presence had disappeared to. That was where the rose garden lay, and beyond that, she could see the mansion's dark silhouette created by lightning. It took quite some time before she pushed her unsatisfied feelings aside and once again faced the guest house. And then we ended it from here. Man, we're almost done with the third episode in a way.
Mm.
Oh, the time didn't even move. Okay. Sunday, October 5th, 1986. It is 5:44 p.m. Chapter 16. Real magic. Man, we're 50 minutes in. We're getting close. We're just gonna end it from here. That aside, pick it up for the next part. All right, like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one.